Welcome to the Feminine Wave. Today's episode will be focusing on conscious being, real awareness. Let's talk about personal growth, self help, faith, essence, and spirituality. Today, on conscious being and real awareness, we'll be speaking with Ronda Renee, founder of Divine Navigation and the creator of the Divine Coordinates process and the Business in Your Soul program, which has led countless people to success. Rhonda guides business leaders and individuals to the extraordinary life their soul has in store for them. An internationally recognized coach, speaker, and facilitator, Rhonda guides individuals and industry leaders to the success and fulfillment that can only be experienced by living, loving, and leading in alignment with your soul. Professional and personal growth taken to an entirely new level. Rhonda leads people through the astounding self-discovery and personal transformation required to finally be living their most elevated, purpose-driven life. Courageous leaders with an unshakable connection to their soul. I would like to introduce today Rhonda Renee.
Hey there, Tara.
Hey. Oh, I'm so excited to have you. I have several questions. Hopefully we can get through them, and if not, we'll have you back.
Okay. Love that.
um, well, and as I've said in your intro, you are the founder of Divine Navigation and the creator of Divine Coordinates. Could you tell us a little bit what that is and or what it means or that?
Absolutely. Sure. Always a great place to start. So I think the first thing that I will say, like the premise of divine navigation is about living life under the direct influence of your soul, right? That simply, like each step, each turn, right? Where are you being navigated from, if you will? And how we do that is to activate your compass, which we call the divine coordinates, which are the specific energetic qualities that make up the frequency of your soul. So we identify those with you in a very special process and then teach you how to vibrate at that. And then we watch magic happen.
Right? Yeah. Oh, it is, and it is wonderful. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, um, now tell us a little bit. Who are the people that benefit the most from discovering the divine coordinates?
Hmm. I mean, theoretically, anyone could, right? But I
Yeah.
really feel like you need to be ready for this type of work. So generally, we work with people who have already done a fair amount of work. Like the people who get the most work out, are the most out of our work, are the people who've done the most work already,
Mhm.
right? So not necessarily newbies to personal and spiritual development. And so, we have two pathways in our community. The personal path tends to be people who've had a fair amount of success, right? Their lives work, they've achieved, accomplished, and acquired. And they always believed, they bought into the belief that satisfaction would follow outer success. And when it doesn't, they kind of become quietly disillusioned and they're almost embarrassed or shamed to admit that all these things that they've done didn't bring that satisfaction and almost think like, well, what's wrong with me? Everyone else seems satisfied with this. But see, if nobody's saying they're all being quietly disillusioned, then they feel like they're the only ones that are experiencing this, and that's just not the case.
Mhm.
So, and then on what we do really there, let me finish that thought, is show them how to up level their life without having to level the one they already have.
Okay.
Because sometimes we think if I'm going to have a new experience in my life, I need to like wholesale eliminate and start over. Not the case. Outer circumstances aren't what really creates our inner experience.
Right.
So then on the other side, on the business path, if you will, we take the same information, we're working with the same raw material, and we really make sure that you're running the business your soul wants you to, not just the one you think you have to make money, not just the one that makes sense based on previous skill sets or the way you've seen it done out there in the world, but that it really is a full expression of your own soul. And, in the end, what we're really after is a world where every single person is living, loving, and leading from their soul.
Oh, what an amazing place it would be.
All right. I know. Can you imagine if we met soul to soul instead of personality to personality?
Right? Oh
Like
my
the different
gosh.
difference of interactions and the difference of experiences in the world and results in the world. And a lot of things we see are because personality is meeting personality. And so we're not getting to affect the change that is meant to be happening in the world.
Mm. Oh, so well put. So well put. Thank you. And I'm sure people, I mean, I've done, numerology, astrology, all of those things. And, what types, if someone doesn't know how to put the words to this, to know that this might be something that they're looking for, what
Mm-hmm.
might be, some questions that they ask themselves? I
Yeah.
mean, I know what mine were, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, and they take different flavors, right? There's different variations, but they come down really to three primary questions. We call them the big questions. Who am I being number one, right? Because we operate in our lives in a lot of who we think we're supposed to be, who we've learned how to be, who we've been trained to be, the coping mechanisms and the survival strategies that were put in place by the personality trying to protect us, through our life experiences. And we're left feeling like, is this really who I am? And if it's not, then who am I? And again, these are not questions that we say to other people in our lives, right? Which is really unfortunate. But that's the first
Right,
crux, right? Is like,
right,
who
right.
am I?
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
we want to know, why am I here?
right,
Right. So, okay, if I am here, what is my purpose in essence? But interestingly enough, I'm careful about when and where we use the word purpose because we have been convinced that purpose is about what we do for who, and it's really about who do I be for me,
right.
and who wants to partake of that, right? And purpose isn't necessarily connected to your paycheck. It might be for some of us, right? But I joke that entrepreneurs aren't the only ones that got tapped on the head by the purpose fairy, right? If you were born, you were here for a purpose. So, who am I? Why am I here? And then where am I going? Right? What is my direction? What is my next step? What is coming up for me? What's present for me? What is my pathway of mastery in essence? Because to me, that's what we're all here for,
Hmm.
is the embodiment and mastery of ourself through our soul.
Yes. So I'm just curious, how did you come up with these questions? And was it something that you started with you?
Absolutely. I think any super powerful body of work begins with its creator, right? Which is such an odd word for me around this anyway. It came through me, but it clearly didn't come from me. And the reason that I say that specifically is because there are still things, even in recent years, right? So at the time of this conversation, we just had the 15th anniversary a bit ago. And if I had sat down and said, like, here's what I want this to be like, A, it wouldn't have been as amazing. And B, there wouldn't be so many hidden elements that I didn't discover until later.
So it
So,
really was even a process for you in creating this whole system. And
absolutely,
does it continue to evolve? I would
it
not have
does.
known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, the
Sure.
awareness is to continue to come. Like I had my most recent awareness has to do with expanding on our family of origin training that we
Mhm.
talk about in our more advanced levels and just really understanding. Well, not only that, it's sort of a combination of the family of origin and the active and receptive components in the coordinates, which some might call masculine and feminine, and how that translates to mother, father
Mm.
and what we're looking to get from our parents and what we don't get and why we don't get it and all of those things. So that's just one of the pieces. But when it started, I had no idea there was a whole purpose framework in there. I had no
Mhm.
idea there was a whole framework for change. I had no idea there was a whole framework around the internal obstacles that keep us in the personality and keep us from moving into soul, right? Like I could keep going on. I didn't know these things were there until I did.
Right. Right.
And they were always there, right? So
Right.
that's how it's like,
They
that's
just
how
hadn't
I
revealed themselves to you yet.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
through our work as a community, right? It's
Hmm.
with working with people and their divine coordinates that I've seen so many of these things. Or there was one moment with our certified coaches about 5 or 6, no, 7 or 8 probably now years ago when coach asked a question, I'm like, no, no, no. And then I couldn't get it out of my mind. And in the middle of the night, I'm like looking at client folders going, oh my gosh, yeah, it's right here. So yes, I just work here.
You
The
just
divine
show up
coordinates.
and,
Yeah,
what
they're
needs to be
leading.
done will just come. Well, yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah. So, and I'm curious, these three big questions. Um, and I know you kind of told me, but I don't know, do you have any thought on how they showed up in your life? I mean, how
Mm,
did you get there?
yeah, interesting. That's super interesting. How will I answer that today? Um, well, I think like many people, I did all the things I thought I was supposed to do, right? Like I went to school and I got married, I got a great job, I had kids, right? I checked all the boxes. And at the end of my second failed marriage, which was super brief, and actually I had it annulled, but it happened, so I don't hide it. I admit it. I was kind of left with, wait a minute, right? I did everything right, and why am I like in this ditch again? Um, I had an amazing job making more money than I ever imagined making as an employee, particularly. And I had multiple rental properties. I had these amazing friends, wonderful kids. And I'm like, hold on. And so the who am I question really was like, okay, well, if this isn't working for me, then what would?
Mm-hmm.
And that led to, okay, why am I here if this is not panning out, where if I'm not getting the satisfaction that should come with my success,
Mm-hmm.
and then okay, where do I go from here? Right. So I made a big change, right? I changed careers. I went to fashion college and then I worked in construction. I sold windows for custom homes for over a decade. And now I talk to souls all day. And it looks like it that they're disparate, but in reality, in my own divine coordinates, I was always doing the same thing. It's just at higher and higher levels of expression.
Mm-hmm. I get
Yeah.
that, and that's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
I love you. You keep saying words like satisfaction and fulfillment.
Hmm.
And those two words keep coming in my life recently.
Yeah.
So I'd love, for you to talk about that. Like, what is it? What might it really mean?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to find? That kind of. And is there a connection between fulfillment and satisfaction? Or are they
Absolutely.
interchangeable or what? I'd love, and then let's throw purpose in there too, please.
Okay, let's do all of that.
Yes.
Okay, so where do I start? Um, okay, so I'm just gonna follow and hopefully I'll answer the actual questions that you asked. So the first part is, I always come back to when people would say, in my world anyway, when someone really was feeling themselves, like, and how people would be like, they're so full of themselves. And I always ask, well, who would you rather be full of? I mean, right? And fulfillment means filled to full.
Yes.
And so if we take it to the most basic etymology of that word, it means filled to full.
Right.
So there's many parts that come into that in the way that we work with it in divine navigation. One is being embodied, that
Sure.
we're often disassociated and disembodied, so we don't have a connection to ourself, to our own felt sense
Yep.
of who we are and of our life, right? And we will never have satisfaction without fulfillment.
Oh, okay.
Ever. It's not going to be possible. Because satisfaction comes more of the point, first of all, we're seeking satisfaction in the wrong place. We're usually looking outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, if I achieve this, if I acquire this, if I accomplish that, then I will finally be satisfied. But the
Mm-hmm.
fulfillment part is missing. That's got to come first. And that is about the experience we're having of ourselves. So, yeah, I want you to be full of yourself. And that's not arrogant, especially when it's true fulfillment and it's not projecting, right? It's
Right.
embodied.
That's the
Then
thing.
that's the thing. And then we're just sharing ourselves
Mm-hmm.
with the rest of the world, right?
Right. And wouldn't
So,
you want to just share yourself, your true self, right?
mhm.
Hello.
Yeah, it's what we want the most. And we don't know how
Exactly.
to do it because we haven't given it to ourselves first.
Right. And we were taught, we were we were sold a bill of goods growing up in most of our lives. And
Yes.
I can attest to that.
And so we externally reference, meaning we look to things outside of us to reflect who we are, which is absolutely the wrong direction, right? We want to be internal sourcing our truth and then engage with the outer world. And when we're seeking satisfaction in things external to us, what we're trying to do is fill the hole where our soul belongs. And nothing is going to fill the hole where your soul belongs except for your soul.
Hmm. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that makes so much
I
sense to me.
yeah, so I hope that answers the question, right? They are interrelated,
Hmm.
but it's like we need to be in the fullness of ourselves, fulfillment, filled to full,
Hmm.
in order to have satisfaction through our expression and our experience as we engage with the outer world. Instead of
Right.
doing it the opposite way, right? We're trying to do the stuff out there so we finally feel okay in here. Not ever
Right.
going to work.
Right. Right. So, and I mentioned this when I started my question. I'm going to go back to it because I know, at least where I play in the world, you hear a lot about finding your purpose and living your passion,
Hmm.
right? How is the divine navigation system different than how we may be used to hearing about discovering our purpose?
Yeah. I think I touched on it earlier when I
Yep,
said, we've been convinced that our purpose is about what we do for
yep,
who.
right,
And so that is the way we often think it. But that also says that, it's got to be grandiose or something. We
right,
don't here in my sandbox called divine navigation, we don't judge purpose based on size or scope.
right.
Right? Each person, your purpose can be fulfilled in the very next room you walk into when you are embodying the frequency of your soul that we call your divine coordinates. The combination of your
Mhm.
divine coordinates, when you're fully aligned and embodied in those, there is a frequency you're holding, and it is the purpose of your birth. This is why you're here. And again, the very next room you walk into, it doesn't have to be connected to your paycheck at all. You can work a job and still be fulfilling your purpose, and that may or may not be associated with the way that you receive your money.
Mhm.
And they don't have to be. For some of us, they are drawn to that, and that isn't for everyone. And that doesn't mean your purpose is any less important. You could save a life when you're walking down the street and smile at someone.
Right. I love how you put that. I'm going to try and say it back. And please correct me if I've gone askew. So, and I don't really care for this word so much, but I'm going to use it. So basically, being my divine coordinates is my purpose, or and
Absolutely.
finding out how to work within them,
Mhm.
and basically relearning how I'm supposed to be instead of, like I said, all of this misinformation, you
Yeah.
know, I need to be this way or that way. And again, just like you're talking, externally sourced when, yeah, it
Hmm.
needs to be internally. No, how do you say that?
Externally
Externally.
referencing
Thank
versus
you. I
internally
always get that
sourcing.
wrong.
Yeah,
Externally
it's
referenced,
okay.
internally sourced. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and it's really it is an unlearning, right? Because we when we arrive on the planet, let's say, we're blank slates in the realm of individuation and personality. And so we're just taking in, the way I often describe it is like we're born into all these spheres of influence that have spoken and unspoken codes of conduct. Here's what we believe, here's how we behave, here's how we interface with the world, right? Like what family of origin could be religion, cultural, nationality, education, like all political affiliation, all of those spheres of influence have their own set of rules,
mm-hmm,
codes of conduct.
mm-hmm,
And we tend to take those on because we're like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to behave. And
right,
and there may or may not have come a time where you're like, but is this what I really believe? Is this really how I want to be? And it is sort of an unfair game, and I didn't make up the game, so not my fault, but I just noticed how it works, let's say,
mm-hmm,
that our life experience is what or I should say our divine coordinates is what create our life experience
mm-hmm,
because we are meant to be the source of these specific energetic qualities. We go through things that are supposed to activate this particular energy at different stages and ages in our life. And that's different than thinking, oh, I went through this and that created my coordinate. That's it. It doesn't work that way. We were supposed to hold this energy, and if we don't experience certain things, it doesn't wake up in
right,
us. And
right,
because the other people around us don't know this is how the game works, right? Like we just keep taking on things that aren't really us. And ultimately, and hopefully, we will wake up to that at some point. However, we don't just spontaneously know what our divine coordinates are. We really can't identify them for ourselves because who we
right,
know ourselves to be is always in the way. And they're also our spiritual curriculum. So they're not always easy. And our personality is not going to pick the stuff that's going to challenge us.
right.
It's just not going to.
So each individual soul that's here in a human form,
Hmm.
um, and I hope I got this right because I really like it. We have each of us has our own code of conduct based on our divine coordinates, their energetic qualities.
Yeah, in that case, I wouldn't call it a code of conduct. I
What would
refer
you
to
call
the
it?
other spheres of influence was where we get the codes of conduct, but codes of conduct are like something external. Like in order to meet expectations, you're supposed to behave like this. So that's what we get from the outside when things are put on us about who we're supposed to be. It's really the state of being that spontaneously arises from within us when we're in our divine coordinates. So I would call the code of conduct the externals
Okay.
and the state of being the internals. Yeah.
Oh, so I was pretty right on when I said, what did I say? Being, right?
Yeah, you're 100% spot on. Yeah, it really is. And we do all have the same purpose. And the personality doesn't understand that because again, it thinks it's supposed to be outside of you. And
Right.
it's not. It's
Uh,
not supposed to be outside of you. It's
yeah.
inside. It's the internal landscape that when we master that and we have an internal experience of ourselves as our soul, that we can then express that out in the world. And that's when the outer world can change. The outer world can't change if we're all walking around like not in our own internal landscape or in a turbulent internal landscape because we're not in alignment with our soul.
Oh, wow. And it's not like I know nothing about this, and that just took me to a whole new level.
That's
So,
awesome. That's why we call the divine coordinates the gift that keeps on giving, because there's always another insight around the corner,
hmm hmm
no matter how long you've been working with them. And we do have people who've been with us since the very beginning and are still,
yeah,
regularly getting new awarenesses going.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. So, you mentioned that we can't do it for ourselves. I can't remember exactly how you said that we get in the way. I believe might be how you
Mhm.
might have, that's
Who
what I
we know
heard.
ourselves to be, yeah, is
Right.
always in the way.
Yeah. So,
Kind of who
I,
we've been being. It's a habit.
yes. Well, and it's a learned habit,
Hmm.
obviously, right?
Absolutely. Hmm.
Talking about that external referencing again. That's
And
how we
habit
can
is
get
just
out.
something that's been repeated,
Hmm
right? It isn't necessarily positive or negative. It's just something that's been repeated. It could be either,
Right. Yeah, true. Yeah,
right? We have an
absolutely.
exercise habit that's good for us, right? Or we have a
Yeah.
Netflix habit that's not good for us. Both have been repeated and just gotten kind of put in place.
Right, right, right. So then how do we tap into them or I don't know how else I would say that. So,
Into the divine coordinates.
hmm
Yeah. So think about your life, right? For everyone who's not watching, not just Tara. When life has worked and you felt like you're in flow and things are going your way, chances are you have tapped into or hit on at least two of your divine coordinates. But there's five total pieces of it. There's five total elements to the divine coordinates. And it takes more than two to really be in your lane. But two, life feels pretty good. And yet we tend to fall out of that. And when we fall out of it, what we naturally do is try to duplicate the circumstances or the behaviors that we think
hmm
got us there. Right. We're like, okay, what was I doing? And
yeah.
right, maybe, and that's where people like make these crazy long lists of I need to do all these things every day to try to get back into this flow. We need to have them named in order to be able to consciously work with them, right? So we do that in the divine coordinates identification process, which is part of the divine coordinates activation program. That's a 3 hour one-on-one session. No, it's not based on astrology or any other system you've heard of because we get that question a lot. And what's really different is that we give you an experience of your soul rather than saying, here's who you are because we said so, right? Because the planet said so, because whatever. And that is really important because otherwise it's easy to not own that. It's easy to say, well, that's who Rhonda thinks I am, but she doesn't really know me, right? And not really step into it. And people do say regularly, like, wow, that's really big.
hmm
Yeah, it does feel that way, especially when you're not in alignment with them. But again, because we're not measuring on size or scope or scale, but on your own internal experience. When we co-creatively give you that experience of your soul, you actually have a direct felt sense connection with your vastness. Because that's the part we're all forgetting. We're not from here. We just live here,
hmm
right? Our actual origins are include more, let's say.
hmm I love how you stated that. And you had mentioned earlier talking about personal and business,
Mhm.
right? And so, anything more you'd like to say about how those can impact, personal or business directly, I guess.
Sure. People do ask all the time, like, what area of life is this going to impact? And I always say, well, where do you show up? Because when you're showing up, right, in alignment with your soul, there's going to be an impact. What they actually do for each person, I can never say. That is between that individual and their soul.
Hmm
So I know something's going to happen, but I
Right.
can't tell you exactly what happened. And we have seen like what look like miracles. Even including in just the last week, I've heard things like suddenly losing weight for no apparent reason with no extra effort. We've had people feel like they've met their soulmates. We've had people have their dream jobs drop in their lap. We've had people get fired because they were supposed to start a business, right? There's all kinds of things that happen. And I wouldn't normally do this, but it just came up and I feel like I should share this based on your question. So I got a message just over the weekend that said, I just wanted to say how great I feel inhabiting myself. So just
Ooh.
like sit with that, inhabiting myself. I feel alive, grounded, and excited for what I am becoming.
Mm.
Because that's how I see your divine coordinates, right? No, you're probably not being them today, but they are your potential. They are the potential of your soul. So they are your own becoming process. There's a thank you in there, which isn't as important, but everything is coming together. I waited a lifetime for this.
Mhm.
Like, oh my God. I said yes to self-liberation a long time ago, and now here it is. Look at the tears in my eyes. I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, I want that for everyone. The details of your life are less important to me than that experience. This person literally woke up feeling like that. This was like a 6:30 a.m. message. They literally woke up feeling like that. Oh, if I could only give that to everyone,
Mhm.
right? Like, oh, that's the world I want to live in, where every person is inhabiting themselves,
Love that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is a question or clarification,
Hmm.
and maybe it is a question. So I'm born with my divine coordinates.
Yes.
So even though I'm externally resourcing, I'm still living my coordinates to some degree.
That is a great extra layer. You're going a little advanced here on us.
Sorry.
And I will go there if you want to go there. I'm all in. So your divine coordinates come into being with the inception of your soul. They don't come into being the day we identify them. So, yes, in a sense, they're traveling with you the whole time.
Okay.
And let's think if we are meant to be the source of a specific energetic quality, we are not only going to know it in its highest expression, we're going to know it in its absence.
Mm.
So we work with a gradient of the energy when we're working with your divine coordinates to understand, sometimes I call it the basement and the penthouse.
Yeah.
Right? So when we're in our coordinate, we're living in the penthouse. And when we're living in their absence, we're more like in the root cellar, in the basement with the dirt floor, right? Not even a nice basement.
No, like dirt even.
Right. Totally. The cobwebs and the dampness and for those that
Yeah.
have lived in places where there are basements such as this, I clearly have. This is my visual that I connect to with it. And it's still serving us because if we're going to be the source, we need to know the full spectrum, as we call it, of experience.
Hmm.
In order to become the master of that energetic quality, we got to know it from every angle. So
Yes.
it looks like sometimes like, so for example, one of my divine coordinates is empowerment. So I've absolutely felt disempowered and felt victimized and all of the things that are the opposite of empowerment, right? Not actually a very common coordinate, even though that word gets used a lot. It's not a very common coordinate. I also have truth. So Sister's been lied to a lot. It's part of my dharma, I guess you could say, in a way, not language we usually use, but that's what's coming in. It's part of my dharma to have the discernment of what is true and what is not. And this isn't, my truth, your truth. It's like capital T truth,
Okay.
universal truth. I refer to it as, the divine presence within is the truth that I'm going for. Yeah. So
Um,
we experience all of it.
yeah. Okay. This is kind of a two-part question. Unfortunately, I'm having two thoughts coming in at the same time,
I love
and I'm
that.
trying to keep them, one here and one here.
Bring them both.
So, one is, Well, when you're talking about, your the divine coordinate, and then you have the penthouse. When I'm in the
Mhm.
penthouse, um, I know I can only assume that's my
Those are your coordinates themselves. Each
yes.
of the
And my
directional coordinates
question
has a
is,
penthouse.
right now, what if I'm just on the first floor?
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. So I always joke, this is a great question. Thank you for asking it. We talk about consistency, not constancy. Like it's a setup to think that we're going to be in this exalted expression of our coordinates all the time. I joke that the Dalai Lama might be in his coordinates all the time, but I'm not, right? Like I am on the journey of mastery myself, and things trigger me and my personality shows up, but I'm able to go, "Oh, hello personality." Right? And then and I'm then shifting back into my coordinate, right? Oop, going back to soul, right? And if we look at, we brought up spectrums, I'll go a little further. So we literally create a ladder for each of your coordinates to be able to identify where am I operating. And it goes from +5 to -5 with a neutral point in the middle. And most people come into the work at a -1 or -2, kind of in that range. And these are people whose lives look like they work. And they do. Like for all intents and purposes, their lives work. Like they're not in the gutter. They've visited that cellar because we all have to, but they're not living there. But their inner experience isn't what it could be. And pretty quickly, what we see is people operating in a +1 to +2, which is a lovely life. Like
Hmm.
for an everyday default experience, it's a lovely life. Anybody would want that life. And there's still a potential of where else we could go. So we don't strive, and somebody may say that I'm not being ambitious enough, but we don't strive to be in our coordinates 100% of the time on 100% of the days, right? We're looking to be above that neutral point or above for our individual experience and touching those moments, right? Knowing the path to get there because we have our map, the
Right,
map to our soul.
right. So I might use the word learning, and in in getting in touch with the
Yeah,
ladder, so to speak.
absolutely. Yep. And that's why, I call it your spiritual curriculum.
Yeah.
It's like here's your lesson plan. Here's your soul's lesson plan for what it wanted you to master. And mastery comes with learning. And so generally that's why we experience the absence of our coordinates so we can learn about what the coordinate really is, what it really looks like, how it really wants to express.
Mm-hmm.
And so you
Yeah.
can't have one without the other. I'm
Right.
sorry, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, y'all.
Well, I
That's
don't know who
bypassing.
coined I don't know who coined the phrase, but somebody did, and if it were easy, everybody could do it.
Right, exactly. And that's why I say not everyone is ready for this work, and that's okay. That's okay. We are here for the people who are ready, who are feeling that yearning, who have been seeking probably for a long time, and they're ready to start finding. Specifically, they're ready to find their true self through their soul.
Okay. And I I want to go back. And ask for clarification. So I came in with this soul with these coordinates, and I understood you to say, but you didn't really say it, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
So my soul, in what I believe is, I'm Tara this time around, and then my body will do what it does, and then I have another life after this, as well as I believe I've had other lives before this one. And
Yeah.
so those divine coordinates, no matter if I was Paul or Becky, and we all had the same soul. So those people had these same coordinates when they were those
Yes.
people.
Yes. And so I don't talk about this very often, except in certain circles, because you don't have to believe this, right?
Right.
Like I'm always really universally inclusive. Like there should be no reason that any religious belief that someone has needs to be negated through working with their divine coordinates, right?
Hmm.
It's like take what resonates for you, leave what doesn't. You can't change what the directions mean or how the coordinates work, but none of these other ancillary pieces should be an inhibitor. Like if you've got a certain religious belief that does not include reincarnation, you can still find a home here in our community, right?
Right, because it's going to
Um,
only help you, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we only improve people's life experience. So,
Right.
if you want some of that, then we might have something for you. But yes, let's say if we do live multiple lifetimes, you still only have one soul. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have one set of divine coordinates. And so with each lifetime, you are mastering them at a new level in a new way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I just want to bring something else in, based on the ladder, and you have the +5, all the way down to -5. Could that be considered what some people call the shadow side, or is it totally different?
Yeah. Oh, great question. So, it's different and related. Uh,
Okay.
so there's a lot of different elements, and it's really cool because obviously Tara knows a lot more about the divine coordinates. Your average interviewer isn't going to be asking me some of these questions. She's asking from a place of knowing. Um, the lower side is more absence than shadow.
Okay.
So it's like imagine that you have a measuring cup and if you're fully at the coordinate, that is a full cup. And as that cup empties, right, then we're going to the absence. We get into the shadow parts. The internal obstacles framework is one of the places that we work with this, is in each direction of the coordinates, right? Because it's set up like a compass. There is a universal shadow and a universal fear that we all are dealing with. No one escapes these. No one escapes these. Hear that, right? So that's how we work with shadow is more like the universal shadow. The other concept is that might be considered shadow is what we call the unconscious expression of an energy. So, an unconscious expression is a behavior that's technically sourced from the coordinate, but isn't really the coordinate. So, I already used my empowerment coordinate as an example. So, an unconscious expression of empowerment could be enabling,
Mm,
where it seems like there's a desire to empower someone, but you're not really because you're kind of doing it for them, or you're not bringing their power up within them,
mhm.
which I think everyone that's worked with me can say that is something that I do,
Sure.
versus the enabling that I experienced, in previous parts of my life.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
love you when you give an example. It's easier to get the
yeah.
concept. So thank you.
I mean, conceptual doesn't help.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things I'm most proud of, which is kind of a weird word to use anyway. But one of the things I am most proud of about the divine navigation and divine coordinates work is it's so practically applicable.
Hmm.
It isn't conceptual or theoretical. It's like this changed my life in this way. Here's how you use it in the next moment. And we really work to encourage people to use every moment as an opportunity to either express a new level of mastery that has been attained or to create a new level of mastery. And so those creating a new level of masteries are the crunchy bits, the friction moments in life, but we're still using them to that end.
Beautiful. So what are some things that people say who have worked with you, what they get from knowing their divine coordinates? Are you
Well,
able to share?
I don't I'm not sure I can top the thing I read earlier.
Yeah, I know. Would you read
Um,
it again? Just,
oh, sure. One
yeah.
moment, please. Yeah, it just blew me away. I just wanted to say how great I feel inhabiting myself. I feel alive, grounded, and excited for what I'm becoming. Everything is coming together. I waited a lifetime for this. I said yes to self-liberation a long time ago, and now here it is. Like, you've no idea how, like, oh, my soul is absolutely singing because that is about empowering truth, right? Those are my two of my coordinates, my north south. And but other things have, other things have happened. Like I said, we've had people, I don't know how, why or how, but I like suddenly I've lost weight. I'm sleeping better.
Yeah.
We have had people say, and I remember the first time it happened, she had to really stop me because she said, "You saved my life."
Mm.
And I did not know if I had known she was in that state. I don't know that I would have invited her into the program. I probably would have sent her to a therapist. While our work is very therapeutic, I am not a licensed therapist. Um, but yeah, we've saved marriages. Again, these are just things that have I've heard back. People have started their businesses and changed their lives. I've also had people close their businesses because their dream job dropped in their lap. I think I might have said that earlier. I went to a wedding a few years ago of a community member because, they had been searching for a partner and this partner didn't present as what their personality said that should happen. And yet in their coordinates, it was the perfect partner. And yeah, that was an honor. I gave a blessing at the reception. Um, yeah, I mean, it's so individual, but it all comes down to what the piece I read that came in on the weekend that like it's all based in that.
Mhm.
That is the first thing that happens. And then the other things can fall into place.
Yeah.
But societally, we are trained and conditioned that it's get outside lined up and then I'll be okay. And that's not how it actually works.
No. On the money with that one. And so I know that I'd love for you to tell us how we can discover what our divine coordinates are. And I believe you might have something for our viewers.
Yeah.
And if you could share, if you could adjust both of those, I
Hmm.
would love for you to.
Absolutely. I think I'll address both in one piece. I feel like making the map of your soul available to everyone probably is the thing that feels most aligned in this moment, right? So if this has piqued your curiosity and you're wondering, what are mine? Well, in the map of your soul, we're really going to break down the elements of what are the components of the map that we call your divine coordinates. And then from there, understanding the age ranges, the elements, and the correspondences for each of the directions, what their role is, like all of these things. I'm going to break the whole thing down for you. And then from there, if you are further curious, there is a way to move through and have a conversation with myself or one of our team to explore if that is right for you. And if it's right for you right now, because that is also really important.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for our viewers, there's going to be a link attached to this interview. So please click on that, to get some of your questions answered or just to dive right in,
Mhm.
and is amazing. And so,
If you want a deep dive, that's definitely
right. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
it.
So, Rhonda, I just am so grateful that you joined us today. I really appreciate the conversation. I know I learned some things. I'm sure people watching have learned things. And I just can't sing your praises, more.
Hmm.
So
Thank you.
I love your work. And so yeah, it's amazing. So
Such a
thank you so
privilege.
much.
Yeah.
Be sure to join us next time, where we continue to cultivate feminine power, explore potential, and provide information and tools to elevate your life. In the meantime, visit our website at thefemininewave.org or follow us on our YouTube channel at The Feminine Wave to watch other episodes, share what resonated from today's episode, and suggest future topics. Your feedback is imperative in helping reach more women seeking to reclaim their essence. Until then, catch the swell of the feminine wave and continue creating the life you deserve. This is Tara Becker signing off. Take care, and we'll see you on the airwaves.